Hello, I'm Jared Taylor with American Renaissance. On Tuesday, Roseanne Barr became the latest victim of the leftist mob. She tweeted about Valerie Jarrett, a black woman who was an advisor to Barack Obama, as follows. Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby, Valerie Jarrett. ABC immediately canceled her program, even though it was easily their most profitable. Miss Barr's agent dropped her. ABC even purged the old episodes of her show from its website. In America today, you can ruin your career with just a few words, if you're white. Remember the 30-year-old PR executive named Justine Sacco, who became headline news and was also fired for a single tweet. Going to Africa. Hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white. That's all it took. Gone. When the well-known TV chef Paula Deen admitted that in the past, long ago, she had used the N-word, the Food Network yanked her show and her career was finished. In 2015, a white officer named Shannon Didline was fired from the Charleston, South Carolina Police Department for posting a single photo of himself, wearing boxer shorts with a Confederate flag on them. In 2006, radio sportscaster Dave Lenahan was excited to hear that Condoleezza Rice might become NFL commissioner. She's African American, he said, which would be kind of a big coon. He meant to say a big coup, of course, and immediately apologized on the air, but the station fired him on the spot. In 2016, a student government leader at the University of Houston tweeted, "Forget Black Lives Matter, more like all lives matter." Well, she was threatened with a 50-day suspension from student government and months of sensitivity training. She was investigated and grilled repeatedly. She finally took a 21-day suspension. Last year, a Mississippi school teacher named Cammie Roan wrote on her Facebook page, "If blacks in this country are so offended no one is forcing them to stay here, why don't they pack up and move back to Africa, where they will have to work for a living?" She was fired. Just last month, a New York City lawyer, Aaron Schlossberg, was in a restaurant and one of the staff spoke to him in Spanish. He got angry and he told a manager that in America, people should speak English. This was caught on video. Mr. Schlossberg was kicked out of his office by his landlord, lost a big client, and New York officials are now calling for him to be disbarred. He was angry about language, not race, but newspapers are now running headlines like this: "Racist Manhattan lawyer receives envelope stuffed with white powder." Believe me, there are plenty more examples like this. Whites grovel, they apologize, but it makes no difference. Are blacks ever fired for this kind of thing? Well, when Jamie Foxx explained the plot of his new movie Django Unchained on television, he said, "I kill all the white people in the movie. How great is that?" Nothing happened. The black painter, Kehinde Wiley, likes to paint pictures of black women holding the severed heads of white women. Here's another one. This stuff hasn't hurt his career at all. Barack Obama asked him to paint the official presidential portrait. The student newspaper at Evergreen State College in Washington State has a section called, quote, "For People of Color by People of Color." As the paper explains, this should be a place where we can be us without it being overshadowed by the dark cloud that is living under white supremacy.
It's worth noting that there are various iterations of Black Lives Matter, but one of the ones that speaks to me most in reference to what's being talked about here, which is white feelings. And what's referred to as white fragility. So the irony of the granddad of the alt-right talking about how people are not punished for hurting white feelings, while his whole political project, his channel's whole purpose is to hurt black feelings, to supposedly tell the truth in spite of the fact that it's going to hurt people's feelings. Is just kind of like the perfect classic cognitive dissonance of the alt-right. And I guess the Trumper movement in general is an edgelord whose feelings are very delicate. and are sort of very vulnerable to being criticized. Even when you watch this clip from the American Renaissance channel, you can easily observe, like the first 50% of the clip is, why are you offended? And then the second, and why do people have to get fired for your offended feelings? They're just telling the truth. But when the second half of the clip comes, it's like, oh well, you know, these black people are saying bad things, politically incorrect things about white people, and it kind of it brings to mind the anarcho-tyranny bit, but in a less authoritarian sense, meaning that this is rhetorical anarcho-tyranny. They want white people to have the right to be absolutely offensive and spread destructive so-called truths about the black community, and then in the same breath, the motherfucker can't even make it out of this fucking video without shifting to, well, what about these people say bad things about white people? These people are bad. Look at all the dehumanizing things. Look, most of the bad things said about white people are just acknowledging things that white as a legal category, white people as a class established by law by white people themselves. When you call a white man a colonist, you are not resorting to an ad hominem. You're not perpetuating a false dehumanizing claim. The white race as a legal group engaged in colonization the world over that predates the United States of America by centuries. The white race. You know what I mean? As established in Britain, you know, that problem of colonial white supremacy existed long before we had these problems in the United States. So when you call a white person a colonizer, it's kind of it's very historically accurate. He mentions later on that people talk about discarding white tears. Well, I don't understand. The anti-SJW alliance wants to be founded, and again, this is a hypocrisy that goes from alt-light to alt-right to the skeptic community. The anti-SJW community wants to be the guardians of white feelings and the castigator of the feelings of their political enemies, including black people. One of the great examples is T.J. Kirk. T.J. Kirk's channel. You know, T.J. Kirk's a reactionary. He's not alt-light or alt-right, but he's a skeptic, a rational skeptic YouTuber. And the fascinating preoccupation with other people feeling too much, and then him screaming at all times, what about white men? What about them? These white men, help them! Help white men! Like so much of these channels are literally just someone standing in front of a camera screaming, help straight white men, help them, and it's just kind of so maddening and frustrating to me to sort of see the cognitive dissonance, or maybe it's deliberate hypocrisy. I mentioned on this channel before that usually reactionaries are bullies, and bullies don't give a fuck if they're being hypocrites because they believe that for some reason they're entitled to power and that it appeals to their ego to propose for you something that they would not impose upon themselves, which is a prohibition on taking offense simultaneously as they take every single paper-thin little thing as an existential threat. From Star Wars to Gamergate to any of those other things, they're allowed men. It's a male privilege to be a drama queen. That's what I've learned from the Gamergate era to now, and if you check any predated movements, it's the white man's right to be a drama queen, to be offended and hurt and attacked. This white woman in my neighborhood fucked a black man and had a mixed baby. She's trying to destroy me. She's my property. This woman was taken from me. This woman is mine. Something that has nothing to do with your body. Something that's just a complete stranger. And the other side of the world is fucking a black man. This is about me. It's being done to me. So, you know, it's just kind of like, give that shit no bearing, no mind, because Destiny's mentioned this before, and I agree with him in this basic point, which is reciprocal morality. If someone's not going to do something for you, and of course within limit, you know what I mean? But if someone in a general sense is not going to reciprocate empathy or sympathy or any of that stuff, then you're pissing your your emotional resources away, being concerned about the feelings and the offenses, the fragility of the white psyche, and doing things that upsets them, or you don't have a movement of black people. And again, I guarantee you in the comment section someone is going to blurt that, oh well, Black Lives Matters is the black nationalist movement. It's not true. There is a tiny little sliver of black nationalists online, and they're called Hoteps, and they're in great agreement about the forming of a white ethno-state and a black ethno-state, and joining in rebellion, joining a revolution against the true white man, the real power brokers in American history, which are the Jews. They'll code it and play with it, but basically they're the alt-right. They're the alt-right's talking points, painted brown, painted black. So no, Hoteps are not a mainstream thing. Hoteps are like black incels, basically. So there is no vanguard black nationalist movement in the United States of America, and there is not a significant black nationalist strain inside of Black Lives Matter. But what there is an alt-right movement that is preoccupied with deporting people that are legally in this country. We're not just talking about basic bitch conservative immigration policy. We are talking about a political movement that wants Jimmy the black bus driver in your neighborhood deported back to Africa. Jimmy, who just woke up this morning and wanted to get a cup of coffee and go to work, they want him deported for his black skin because he's a threat that one day his dick could get hard and go inside of a white girl and make a baby. Jimmy the bus driver, existential threat to that's how fragile the white man is. The white cishet man of the alt-right is so delicate that he can't bear the threat of like the most banal people of color going through the day-to-day tasks of their lives, because it could threaten the purity of his gene pool. So no, you don't have to. And again, don't be a sadist or whatever, but like, you don't have to worry that you telling the truth is offending someone else. The problem with the alt-right is not that they're telling offensive truths, it's that they're telling lies. See, the straw man is saying that the problem is that we're offended. That's the alt-right and alt-right's frame, is that we're offended because they're telling some kind of radical truth, or we're tone policing because they're being profane or impolite. No, that's not true. The biggest problem with the free speech movement is that they're full of shit. They tell lies about the impending threat of migrant replacement. The problem is inaccuracy. Not that they're edgy. It's that they're using edge to pander and to endorse reactionary right-wing talking points that aren't accurate.